Good day everyone, we are Group 3 and today we'll be reporting or discussing about Philippine indigenous religions. Before we start, gusto ko lamang sabihin na for this report, I'll be using some Philippine words or like Philippine words para mas madali nating maintindihan ang mga concepts na ating tatalakayin ngayon. So let's start by understanding what indigenous religion really means. Well, indigenous religions, it refers to spiritual beliefs and practices that are native to a particular region or culture, often characterized by a deep connection to nature, ancestral worship, and community traditions. So when we say indigenous religions, ito yung mga indigenous beliefs and rituals na likas sa isang grupo or culture. Ibig sabihin, hindi ito galing sa labas or dinala ng ibang religion or any other country, kundi ito mismo yung original na religion or pananampalataya ng mga tao sa isang lugar. So, kadalasan dito, yung mga naniniwala, or the indigenous people, sila yung mga tao na naniniwala sa kanilang pinaniniwalaan at hindi hinahayaan na sakupin ng ating paniniwala ang kanilang paniniwala. So, bali, itong indigenous religion, ito yung mga paniniwala nila na until now ay pinaniniwalaan nila at hindi kailanman naapektuhan or hindi kailanman galing sa other religion or other countries. Next, ngayon alam na natin kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng indigenous religion, we also need to know kung bakit nga ba pinag-aaralan ng mga sociologists ang indigenous or ang religion. So, why do sociologists study religion? Sociologists study religion to understand how beliefs influences people's behaviors, relationships, and cultures. So, tinitingnan ng mga sociologists kung paano nakakaapekto ang religion sa pamumuhay ng tao, sa kanilang values, perspective, at connection sa isa't isa. Bale, it's their way para masuri kung paano nagiging guide ang paniniwala nila sa pagbuo ng isang lipunan. So, for example, kung naniniwala ang isang tao or ang isang grupo na ang kalikasan ay kailangan nilang pangalagaan, makikita natin yan kung paano nila ito papangalagaan. So, or paano nila ito tinatrato araw-araw. At syempre, konektado rin dyan ang identity. Kung paano natin nakikita ang ating sarili natin bilang bahagi ng isang grupo or ng kultura. Religion plays a key role in shaping a person's sense of belonging, purpose, and cultural identity. So, ang religion ay hindi lamang paniniwala, kundi ito ay bahagi ng ating identity. Sa mga indigenous group, nakikita naman natin ang kanilang mga ritual, awitin, kwento, ay nagpapakita ng kung sino sila bilang isang komunidad. It's because naniniwala sila na and that is also the reason why we need to learn or we need to learn about indigenous religions dahil it is the root of their tradition, culture, and their identity. Now that we understand how religion connects to identity, let's take a closer look naman sa mga beliefs and practices na makikita sa halos lahat ng indigenous religions sa ating bansa. But, bago tayo pumunta sa mga particular na religion sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao at Samoro, mahalaga muna nating maintindihan kung ano yung mga karaniwang paniniwala at gawain ng mga katutubong religion in general. So, when we say in general, kumbaga ito yung mga paniniwala nila or mga practices nila na common sa lahat ng religion sa ating bansa. Kasi yung beliefs and practices, ito yung mga shared elements na halos lahat ng indigenous group ay meron. And samantalang yung religion per region, yun naman yung specific sa mga lugar na yun. So before that, so that's what I am going to discuss now, yung shared elements ng isang indigenous religion per region. Okay? So, let's start sa animism. Animism is the belief that objects, places, and creature all possess a distinct spiritual essence. So, kumbaga, animism, ito yung mga paniniwala na lahat ng bagay sa mundo ay may kaluluwa or spirito or may buhay. So, hindi lang ang tao, hindi lang tayong tao, kundi pati ang hayop, halaman, bato, bundok, ilog, ulan, at kahit hangin. Because for them, ang mundo ay buhay at banal. Kaya bago sila magputol ng puno, mangaso, o mangisda, nag-aalay muna sila ng pagkain o dasal bilang isang respeto sa espiritu ng kalikasan. So, kung sino man yung pinaniniwalaan nila, inaalayan muna nila yon ng alay for respect na rin. So, if mangisda sila, mag-alay sila sa Diyos ng karagatan. Something like ganyan, na may naniniwala sila na bawat ano dito sa mundo ay may spirito at buhay. And kailangan nila yung respetuhin. So, next is, so example for that pala is, katulad ng sa mga Aita or sa Ifugao, may paniniwala sila na kapag pumutol ka raw ng puno ng walang permission or pahintulot, maaring magalit ang espiritu ng nakatira roon at magdulot ng sakit o malas. Kaya sa kanila, lahat ng kilos sa kalikasan ay may bahaging pananagutan. And I think some of us is naniniwala din dito na kapag kunyari na pumutol ka ng isang kahoy, tapos without a permission, dayon, like magdaot ka or what. So that's part of animism. May paniniwala ka na lahat ng bagay sa mundo ay may buhay or espiritu or kaluluwa. Next is the ancestor worship. It is the practice of honoring, venerating, and communicating with the spirits of deceased family members. So ito yung mga paniniwala ng mga katutubo na patuloy pa rin nakikialam sa buhay ng mga tao, ang mga kaluluwa ng kanilang mga ninuno. Hindi lang sila basta patay, kundi mga tagapagbantay at tagapagpayo ng mga buhay. So ito naman yung paniniwala nila na kahit patay na ang isang tao or kanilang ninuno, ay nananatili pa rin ito sa kanilang tabi or nakapaligid pa rin ito sa kanila at binabantayan sila. That is also the reason bakit kapag namamatay ang isang tao, mostly sasabihin. Or like, ang istorya diba is like, ikaw nang bahala sa amin, gabayan mo kami, something like that. But it's quite different dari na sa ancestor worship, because here, they worship their ancestors. Or like, they believe na ang ilang ancestor na mayapa na ay binabantayan sila. So, like, they still, like, they have their own way to communicate daw sa kanilang ancestors. So, that's also the reason nga nung naa sila'y ritual or alay na ginahatag sa ilaat, tulad ng pagsusunog ng insenso, pag-aalay ng pagkain, like that, and pagdarasal sa harap ng altar bilang paggalang at pasasalamat. Pero, I think, some of us, kay inanimanggit po, diba? Like, pag Halloween. Pero, like, it's quite more different sa indigenous na religion. And now, para may pakita nila ang connection nila sa mga espiritu, gumagamit sila ng mga ritual or ceremony bilang paraan ng pakikipag-ugnayan. And that is the rituals and ceremonies. Rituals are symbolic actions performed for religious or cultural reasons, while ceremonies are formal gatherings to mark a special occasion. So, sa madaling salita, ang rituals ay mga kilos o gawain na may simbolikong kahulugan. Ginagawa ito para magpasalamat, humingi ng tulong, o magpagaling. So, an example for this is that, like, sa mga subanan, they have their ritual for harvest, which is dumindingan. So, it is dance ni siya. It is a dance para, like, magpasalamat or mag-wish sa ilang Lord or sa ilang apo magbebaya to have a bountiful and joyful harvest. Bountiful. Next is, and sa ceremonies naman ay mas malalaking okasyon. So, occasions at pagtitipon na may kasamang dasal, kanta, o sayaw. So, it's a big celebration. Not celebration, but it's a big occasion. So lagi mo to for what I have said kanina. But what I have said kanina na sa Subanen, they have ritual before sila magtanim at mag-ani, and bilang paghingi rin ng magandang ani sa mga espiritu, that is tumintingan. And sa mga Madobo o Bagobo sa Mindanao, may sayaw o ritual dance bilang paraan ng pasasalamat sa kanilang Diyos ng kalikasan. Yes, and Diyos ng kalikasan, it's part of animism rin because they have their Diyos or God sa kalikasan nila. Ang layunin ng mga ritual na to ay hindi lang spiritual, kundi pag-komunidad din. Dahil sama-sama nila itong ginagawa, kaya nagiging simbolo rin ng pagkakaisa. And dahil wala pang mga nakasulat na kasaysayan noon, isa pang mahalagang aspeto ng kanilang relihiyon ay ang oral tradition. So, oral tradition, it is a way of preserving and transmitting knowledge, culture, and history through spoken words, songs, or chants. So, before, wala pa naman talagang pangsulat o libro noon. Ang ginagamit nila ay ang salita, pagkanta, pagkwento, para ipasa ang kanilang mga paniniwala at kasaysayan. Ito ang paraan nila para mapanatiling buhay ang kanilang kultura sa bawat generation. So, that is oral traditions. So, for example, sa mga Ifugao may tinatawag na hudhud chants na kinukwento ang kasaysayan at mga bayani ng kanilang lahi. And sa mga Subanen, may mga epic songs or awitin tungkol sa mga diwata at mga espiritu na nagproprotekta sa kanilang kalikasan. So, kahit walang mga nakasulat, buo pa rin ang kanilang memorya ng kultura. Kasi pinapasa nila ito gamit sa pagsasalita, sa kanilang pagkanta, sa kanilang pagsayaw. Lahat ng yon ay pinapasa nila galing sa kanilang puso. At syempre, sa bawat religion, may mga taong gumagabay at nangunguna sa ganitong mga ritual. Sila ang mga spiritual leaders. A spiritual leader is someone who meditates between the physical and spiritual worlds, guiding and preserving their community's tradition. So, yung mga spiritual leaders naman, sila yung kumbaga naging bridge sa pagitan ng mundo ng mga tao at ng mga espiritu. So, nasila sa gitna, and sila ay may mga kakayahang makipag-ugnayan sa mga espiritu, magpagaling ng may sakit o magpayo ng mga problema ng komunidad. So, mostly sila kaning mga spiritual leaders is like they can communicate sa mga spirits. Makikita sila spirits and they can actually heal someone po. Mostly sa mga spiritual leaders, they can heal someone and because they can communicate with the spirits. Sa halimbawa, sa mga Subanen at Manobo, tinatawag silang babaylan o dato na may kapangyarihang spiritual. So, they have the power po when it comes to spiritual powers. Sila rin ang nangunguna sa mga ritual ng alay, pagpapagaling at pagdiriwang. Sila yung tinatawag nating spiritual leaders. And para sa kanila, hindi lang ito isang tungkulin, kundi isang tawag o biyaya sa mga spirito. Naniniwala ang mga tao na ang likas nila ay hindi galing sa kanila mismo, kundi binigay ng mga Diyos o ninuno. And yun lamang ating 5 pangunahing paniniwala at gawain ng mga katutubong religion. So, those are the 5 practices, beliefs and practices sa isang indigenous religions. At makikita natin na kahit iba-iba ang kanilang lugar or grupo, iisa talaga ang kanilang puso sa pananampalataya at ang koneksyon sa kalikasan, espiritu, at mga ninuno. Makikita naman natin, di ba, na medyo connected lang ang 5. And those 5, kadalasan din ito makikita sa indigenous religions per region na itatackle or i-discuss later. Now that we have discussed the beliefs and practices common to many indigenous groups, let's move forward to the different indigenous religions found in the Philippines, specifically sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, at sa Moro communities. Pero for this presentation, magsisimula muna tayo sa Luzon, which will be discussed by Ms. Angel V. Abaa. So now I'll now pass it to my group mate to start with the indigenous religions in Luzon.
Let's discuss the indigenous religions in Luzon. Before Christianity, the people of Luzon already had their own religion. They were nature-based and community-centered. They practiced animism. Let's discuss more about the religions and every indigenous group live in the Luzon. The first one is the Ifugao. The Ifugao people of northern Luzon live in the high mountains of Cordillera region, and they built the famous Banawi rice terraces, one of the amazing farming system in the world, which they considered both a source of life and a sacred place. These terraces were carved into the mountains and used water from streams to grow rice. For over 2,000 years, they have provided food, work, and a way of life for the Ifugao people. The terraces are also a secret because they are connected to their beliefs, traditions, and respect for nature. They show the strong relationship between the Ifugao people, their land, and their culture. The Ifugao belief system is polytheistic, involving the worship of numerous gods and goddesses with over 1,000 named deities. Ifugao people believe that the cosmos or the universe are made up of 6 layers or regions. They think that 4 regions are above the earth, where the gods and good spirits live. The 5th region is the earth, where humans, animals, and plants exist. The 6th region is below the earth, where the spirits of the dead and other unseen beings stay. This belief shows that the Ifugao see the world as connected. The sky, earth, and underworld all affect each other. According to Manuel Dulawan, the Ifugao cosmos consists of 6 regions. These are the Kabunian, Daya, Lagud, Kadungayan, Pugaw, and Dalom. Para jud masabtan ato ni silang tagsa-tagsaon og ilhon. Each region has its own role and purpose. The first one is the Kambunyan or the sky world. This is the home of the gods and creators beings. It is the highest place where the powerful deities watch over people and nature. Second one is Daya. The Daya or the Western world, this is one of the spiritual regions located beyond the human world where the supernatural beings live. The third one is the Lagod or the Eastern world, another spiritual world in the east, also home to other spirits and deities. The Kabunyan, Daya, Lagod is the region where the spirit or the deities live. The fourth one is the Kadungayan, the world of souls or afterlife. This is the place where souls go after death, similar to spirit world or the afterlife. The fifth is the Pugaw or the earth world or the human world. This is the world where people live. This is our world. Dalom is the underworld or the below the earth. This region is beneath the earth and is believed to be the home of spirits of the dead and other unseen beings. The gods, spirits, humans, and the dead all have their places in these 6 regions. The Ifugao don't view just one single supreme god. Instead, they have many deities, ancestral spirits, and nature spirits who inhabit these regions. Let's go to the religious and spiritual belief of Ifugao. Baki. Baki is a combination of animism, magic, methodology, and polytheism. Baki serves both a prayer and a term for sacrificial rituals, emphasizing the connection between the spiritual and the physical worlds. Baki are performed by ritual specialists they called Mombaki to communicate with the spirits in these various regions, especially to ensure good harvest, healing, and social harmony. Mombaki are the Ifugao priests or the traditional shaman who mediates between the spiritual and the human world. Mombaki are essential in performing rituals, ensuring that the correct rites are followed for various occasions. Mombaki mauni sila ang mga nakikommunicate sa mga spirit during the rituals ug sila may mas nakabalo kung unsa ang mga correct rites nga dapat i-follow sa different occasions nga ilaang buhatan o ritual. Now, let's move forward to the deities or gods of Ifugao. The Ifugao believe that the world is inhabited by spirits, both good and bad, that live in natural elements such as the trees, mountains, rivers, and rice fields. These spirits or anitos must be respected and appeased to ensure harmony with nature. The gods are categorized into a hierarchy as described by Dulawan, including the superior gods and the gods of reproduction. The Ifugao people believe in many gods and spirits who guide, protect, and bless their daily lives. Each deity has a special role in nature, farming, and community life. Mon Lolot, the deity of weaving. This god is believed to teach and bless Ifugao women with the skill and creativity needed in weaving traditional clothes and crafts. Ampual, the god of nature and farming, said to have given people plants and animals. He also controls the transplanting of rice, making him important in agricultural rituals. Manong An, considered one of the highest and most respected gods, he is known as the creator of all things and the leader of the deities. The Ifugao offer him prayers and rituals to show respect and seek blessings. The other important deities of Ifugao. It includes Amalco, the chief of the sun gods, Ambolan, the chief of the moon gods, Manahaot, the thunder god, Bagol is the superior gods, Manga Ido is the evil gods, Amkolyok is the earthly god, and the Pipinatig is the earth spirits who dwell in the big trees, rivers, and mountains. Ifugao also perform offerings. Offerings are an important part of the Ifugao rituals and traditions. The people believe that giving offerings to the spirits, ancestors, and gods help maintain peace, protection, and good fortune. During special occasions such as childbirth, harvest, or healing, the Ifugao offer food like rice, chicken, pigs, or other livestock. These are given to thank the spirits, ask for blessings, or ensure the mother's and child's safety. Baya is one example of offering that Ifugao perform. The term baya refers to these offerings, especially those that include rice, wine, food, and animals. Offering baya shows respect and gratitude to the spirits and keeps harmony between humans and the spirit world. The Ifugao people also perform some rituals during marriage. Marriage in Ifugao culture is not just a union between two persons. It is a community event that strengthens family and social ties. The entire village often take parts in the celebration with feasts, rituals, and offerings to honor the gods and ancestors. These acts are believed to bring blessings, harmony, and a fruitful union to the couple. The main stages and rituals of marriage among the Ifugao, it includes hingot, or the engagement offering. This marks the agreement between two families for their children to marry. Engagement offerings are made usually 3 pigs along with food and rice wine. The ritual seeks the approval and blessing of the ancestors and gods for the future marriage. Pwede ni siya matawag na tuog kanatang time sa pamalayi. The bunbun or tani, this is the actual wedding ceremony where the couple is formally united. Rituals are performed to ensure a strong bond and prosperity. Family and the community members share food and rice wine to celebrate the union. The Oyaoy happens after the wedding. This is a grand marriage feast reserved for the Kadangyan or the wealthy and noble class. It involves large offerings, dancing, chanting, and days of celebrations. The ritual honors both families and shows their status, generosity, and gratitude to the spirits. Para jud mas masabtan, the hingot is the engagement, the bunbun or the tanik is the wedding, and the oyaoy is the grand fest. These traditions ensure that the marriage is blessed, harmonious, and supported by the both community and the spiritual world. Ifugao also have practices during death or the burial. Ifugao burial practices are elaborate. The dead are believed to journey to Lagod, the land of spirits, and elaborate rituals are performed to ensure they reach the afterlife peacefully. Dangli, a funeral ritual where the animals are butchered during the wake as part of the Baki ceremony to honor the dead. Bugwa, the reburial ritual where the bones of the deceased or sa namatay are taken out, cleaned, and reburied. It is led by the Mumbaki to show respect for the ancestors. Kadangyan burial. In ancient times, wealthy or high-ranking people, or mas known as Kadangyan, were mummified and buried in special tombs, showing belief in life after death. They perform complex burial. The Ifugao have detailed burial customs, believe that the way a person is buried affects their soul's journey to the afterlife. The Ifugao continue to practice ancient rituals passed down through generations to honor gods, spirits, and ancestors. Baki ritual, a sacrificial ceremony to ask blessings or forgiveness from gods and spirits. Alim ritual, a ritual performed to ask the gods for healing, protection, or guidance. Bulul and harvesting. Rituals are held to honor Bulul, the rice god, for a good harvest and protection of the crops. Tungo, a ritual rest performed observed before and after planting to ensure harmony and success in farming. Punuk, a post-harvest Thanksgiving ritual featuring a tug-of-war game symbolizing unity and gratitude for a good harvest. Hudhud, an epic chant recited during harvest, funerals, and rituals telling stories of Ifugao heroes and values. Rice rituals, various ceremonies connected to rice farming, which is the center of Ifugao life and spirituality. Each step or ritual marks an important stage in planting, growing, and harvesting rice and is performed to ask for blessings, protection, and a good harvest from their gods and spirits. Let's explore the religions of Kankanae. The Kankanae people are one of the major indigenous groups in the Cordillera region, mainly found in Mountain Province and Benguet. Their religion reflects their deep respect for nature, community, and the spiritual world. They also believe on Kaponian, the supreme creator who created the world and gave humans all their important traditions. They also believe on ancestral spirits, the soul of the dead. These ancestors stay close to the family and are relied upon for protection and blessings. However, if they are neglected, they can cause illness. Also, they believe in the nature spirits or the anitos that live in specific places like forests, rivers, and large rocks. They must be treated with deep respect because disrupting their homes can bring misfortune to the community. They also do the Kanyao. Kanyao is the central ceremony of the religion. It is a large community gathering that involves dancing, prayer, and sharing a ritual meal. In a Kanyao, the most important part is the animal sacrifice, usually the pigs, chickens, or the cows. They offer the animal's life that shows respect and gratitude to the spirits. Before anyone eats, the meat is first dedicated to the gods and spirits. After that, the whole community shares the food as a symbol of unity and thanksgiving. After the sacrifice, the elders or the ritual's leaders, often called Mambunong, examine the animal's liver to read signs or omens. They believe the appearance or color of these parts reveals whether the spirits accepted the offering and can also predict future events like good harvest, safety, or misfortune. This practice helps guide the community kung unsa ang next decision of actions. If the liver looks healthy and small, it's a good sign. The spirits are pleased or happy and blessings or success are expected. If the liver looks pale, has spots or strange mark, it is a bad sign. The spirit might be angry or trouble may become. The Duck Eye is a stone pavement place found in Cordillera villages. It serves as the center of the community life, where people gather for religious rituals, important meetings, and discussions. It is also where rituals and ceremonies like offerings to the spirits are performed. People see it as a sacred and respected place that keeps the community united. The religion leaders of Kankanae includes Mansipok. This is the spiritual diagnostician. When someone gets sick or something bad happens, the Mansipok finds out which spirit was offended and why. While the Mambunog, this is the ritual priest or shaman. After the Mansipok identifies the problem, the role of Mambunog is to perform the rituals, prayers, and offering to please the spirits. Let's explore the religion of the Snake or the Apayao. The Snake people, also called Apayao, live in the far north of Luzon, near rivers, forests, and mountains. Just like the Ifugao and Kankanae, the traditional religion of the Snake or Apayao people is an animistic system, which means it's centered on ancestral spirits and environmental deities whose appeasement is critical for health and a successful harvest. Did you know that the spiritual world of the snake is populated by more than 300 anito or spirits, who assume in various forms? There are no gods or hierarchical deities in the other world of the snake, only good or bad spirits.
Hey everyone, my name is Franz Dinyo Busico and I'll be talking about the religions of ethnic groups in Visayas. The Visayas has many diverse cultures. Most people here are Christian today, but some groups still continue to practice their old indigenous religions. In this report, we'll be going through both the Christianized and indigenous ethnic groups and see how faith shapes their identity. So the Visayas is one of the first regions in the Philippines to receive Christianity during the Spanish colonization. But even before that, the early Visayans had their own belief system, centered on nature, ancestors, and spirits. When the Spanish arrived, many of these practices blended in Christianity, which is why Visayan religion today still carry the traces of the past. Actually, the first mass in the Philippines was held in the Visayas, in Limesawa, southern Leyte, showing how central the region was in spreading Christianity. Most Visayans now are Roman Catholic, but the way they practice their faith is very unique. It's not just about going to church, it's also about community rituals, fiestas, and healing traditions. So even though the religion changed, the heart of their culture still stayed the same. The first group we will cover is the Cebuanos. The Cebuanos are the largest Visayan group and deeply Catholic. Their devotion centers around the Santo Niño de Cebu, which is the oldest relic in the country, given by Magellan in 1521. Every January, they celebrate the Sinolog festival, combining prayer and dance. The step represents the flow of water, symbolizing rhythm of life. The word Sinolog literally means the flow like water current. So it's not just a dance, it's a moving prayer that connects their past beliefs about nature and Christianity faith. Next, we have the Hiligaynon or the Ilonggo. The Hiligaynon people of Iloilo are also devout Catholics. Their biggest celebration, the Dinagyang Festival, honors the Santo Niño much like the Sinolog. However, many Ilonggos still turn to folk healing and using anting-anting or amulets for protection, a trace of older spiritual traditions that blended with their faith. So before Christianity, the Ilonggo believed in a supreme god named Laun, who lived on Mount Canlaon, which is where the volcano got its name. So next, we have the Waray. The Waray people from Samar and Leyte are also Catholic, but they keep strong beliefs in Encanto or the nature spirits. Many still combine church prayers with faith healing, especially when dealing with sickness or misfortune. The Waray also have the Padolong Festival, which celebrates the Virgin Mary but came from the older sea rituals for protection. So next, we have the Aklanon. The Aklanon people of Aklan are Catholic, but they're best known for their Ati-Atihan Festival, which is celebrated for the Santo Niño today. But it is actually a much older peace pact between the Aklanon settlers and the Ati tribe. So just to clarify, the Aklanon are not the Ati tribe, but they celebrate Ati-Atihan to honor friendship between the two groups. The word Ati-Atihan means to be like the Ati. That's why people darken their skin with soot. So it's like a symbolic gesture of respect, not imitation. Meanwhile, the Kaira'a of Antique are also Catholic, but they still perform halad or offerings and palamgu, a cleansing ritual using water. Culturally, the Karaya are close to the Sulud of Panay, who are indigenous, but unlike the Sulud, most Karaya are already Christian. So their ritual today are seen more as a folk practice than a separate religion. Other Visayan groups such as the Capiznon, Romblumanon, Mastebeño, and Cuyanon also follow Catholicism, but keep unique island traditions. The Capiznon are famous for their folklore about the Aswang and Tamao, stories rooted in ancient beliefs and about spirits. While the Romblumanon people believe in omens and seek help from folk healers, and the Cayunon makes prayers with sea rituals for safety when fishing. These are examples of folk Catholicism, where people are fully Christian but they express faith through older costumes passed down from their ancestors. Now, aside from these Christianized groups, there are still groups that follow their original indigenous religions, faiths that exist long before the Spanish colonization. So, the first of them are the Sulud, or the Sulud Panay Bukidnon. The Sulud, also called the Panay Bukidnon, live in the mountains of Panay. Their religion is animistic. They believe in nature spirits called Diwata, and they worship ancestors through rituals led by the Babaylan or shamans. They perform healing, thanksgiving, and cleansing ceremonies to maintain harmony between humans and the spirit world. The Sulud also has their own creation myth revolving around Laki and Bayi. They tell how Earth, humans, animals, and social order came to be. They also have one of the longest epics in Southeast Asia. The Sugidanon contains many epics. 10 were known, but over the years, 3 more surfaced. The most well-known one is the Hinilawud. It is one of the longest epics in Southeast Asia. It is about 29,000 verses long and can take up to 3 days to chant. It's more than just a story. It's a sacred teaching that passes down moral lessons, creation stories, and their world view. So sometimes, people confuse the Sulud with the Karaya, since both came from Panay Highlands, but the Sulud are indigenous animists while the Karaya are Christianized Visayans. Their culture are related, but the religions are different. Next, we have the Ati. The Ati are one of the oldest tribes in the Philippines. They belong to the Negrito group and are believed to be the earliest settlers of Visayas. Their faith are animistic too, believing that everything from trees to rivers has a spirit called an Anito. They perform offerings, chants, and healing led by the elders or the Babaylans, usually outdoors and nature, which is considered sacred. The Ati-Atihan festival we see in Aklan came from the Ati traditions, but it's now celebrated mainly by the Aklanon Catholics, not the Ati tribe themselves. The real Ati spiritually is quiet and deeply nature-based, focusing more on gratitude and balance. They even have a term, Nabadan, which means you have offended a spirit. When that happens, They perform rituals to apologize and restore harmony. So lastly, we have the Eskaya. The Iskaya live in the mountain villages of Bohol, especially in Taytay de Oro, Lundag, Guindulman, and Pilar, and their population is around 3,000. Their religion blends Aligpayan Christianity with traditional rituals. They believe in one supreme being named Ay Sono, who created life and guides human morality. They focus on spiritual healing and believe illness came from emotional or moral imbalance. What makes them unique is that they have their own language and writing system, which they believe has a divine gift from Ay Sono himself. The script is used for praying and teaching. So for them, writing and faith are deeply connected. So some sources say their leader, Mariano Datahan, claimed he received their language through divine revelation. That's why for the Eskaya, the writing system isn't just culture, it's sacred. Sadly, modernization and migration are slowly weakening their tradition, but the community still teaches this belief to preserve their identity. To summarize, the religions of the Visayan ethnic groups show how faith can change but still stay connected to tradition. The Christianized groups expresses their faith through festivals and folk practices, while the Sulud, Ati, and Eskaya preserve their ancestral religions rooted in nature and spirituality. Even though these beliefs are different, they share one thing: the idea of balance, harmony, and respect for life. So, anthropologists describe this as a layered faith, Catholic on the outside, but still spiritually Visayan underneath. That is what makes the Visayas very unique. It's not just a region of islands, but a place where ancient faith and modern religion coexist in harmony. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I am James Andrew C. Tewell, and the next topic that we'll be discussing is the pre-colonial religions of Mindanao, the Lumads and Moros of Mindanao. So, first is the Subanans. So, the traditional Subanan people has their own religion called Migayat and believe in a supreme being called Diwata Migbibaya, and once possess a holy book. They communicate with Diwata Migbibaya through incantations and rituals led by a shaman known as a Bailan. So, the Subanans have their own religion called the Migayat, and their god is the Diwata Migbibaya. But during the Spanish invasion, it was believed that the holy book that they once possessed has been burned or taken as a loot. So the Subanans communicate to their god through a bailan. So a bailan, they are typically men, but women may also serve this role. So a bailan is a traditional spiritual leader and healer who performs rituals and act as a medium to their god and other spirits. Next, so Buklog. Buklog is a week-long festival and a Thanksgiving ritual performed on a special wooden platform, as you can see in the picture. So this is what a buklog looks like. So the buklog is usually hosted by a village chief called the Timuay, and it is performed to express gratitude to the spirits for blessings such as bountiful harvest or recovery from illness. So the rituals ensure harmony among family, clan, and community members, as well as among the human, natural, and spiritual worlds. So in modern times, majority of the Subanans karon kay have embraced Christianity, while some did convert to Islam and some did not. Next is the Manobo or the river people. So, Manobo religion consists primarily of a belief in an innumerable numbers of deities called Umli and a secondary deities called Diwata. So, before we proceed, yeah, okay. So, the cosmology of a Manobo consists of four parts: the langit or the sky world, pasak or the earth world, the yunsud ni may buwan or the underworld, and the kalaguan or the paradise where epic heroes dwell. So, yeah, an umli, stated here in the PPT, an umli is a class of higher beings who on special occasions through the intercession of the diwata. So kaning mga umli kay inhabit sila sa langit or the sky world according to the Bonobo's cosmology. So next is the diwata. So a diwata is a minor order of benignant deities that priests talk to whenever there's danger coming, before doing something important, or when they need to make offerings or please the gods. So kani sila kay na belong sila, same with the umli, they belong in the sky world. Next is the busao. In contradistinction to this, these is a multitudinous host of demons known as busao. So a busao is a group of evil spirits who are never satisfied and usually try to harm or destroy humans. So kani sila kay mga waging incessant and ruthless war against the Manobo world. So they inhabit in the pasak or the earth world. In addition to this, there is a numerous array of spirits known as the Tagbanwa, to whom is assigned the ownership of the forests, hills, and valleys. So the Tagbanwas is a class of spirits who are kind if respected, and live in all silent and gloomy places. And according to the Manobo cosmology, they also live in the pasak or the earth world, same with the busao. So according to them, every person has a gimukod or a soul. The gimukod is the true person according to them. And the gimukod daw, it can see, hear, and feel things which the body can see. Yeah. Even if their religious beliefs vary slightly, they all believe in one common thing. Each culture believes in one great spirit which is generally regarded as the creator sa mga Manobo. Next is the Blaan or the opponent people. So the Blaans are animistic in belief. They believe in a pantheon of gods: Melu, creator of the universe; Lamut Tamangayo, god of war; Diwata, god of harvest. So the female priestesses called Almos offer sacrifices to these gods and spirits. Calamities are always associated with the doings of evil spirits, requiring sacrifices and appeasements. So a little short story about ngano nahimo ang world according to the Blaans. So according to the Blaans, in the beginning daw, there was Melu, who is considered the creator of the universe. So Melu is a huge white being with golden teeth who lived in the clouds and filled all the space above. So nasya sa gapuyo before nasya sa taas gapuyo, and dako daw siya. Huge white being with golden teeth. So he was very clean daw and often rubbed his skin to stay white. So the dead skin that came off formed a big pile which bothered him na ano'y kay siya ana. So kanang dead skin daw gihimo niya as earth. So he used it to create the earth. Kanang agi sa dead skin nahimo daw ang earth according sa mga Blaans. So Melu, like his creation, decided to make two people like himself, but much smaller. While he was making them, another being named Tao Dalumtana or Funtana appeared and asked to make their noses. But Tao Dalumtana won and made the noses upside down. Diba atong ilong kay ano man? Pero ang paghimo sa ilong ni Tao Dalumtana sa mga persons kay pabaliktad siya. So because of their upside down noses, when it rained, water ran into their heads and nearly drowned them. So agi ato kay hapit daw na nalumos ang mga nahimo ni Melo agi kay gibaliktad ni Tao Dalumtana. So after na nakita ni Melo kato siya, kay gifix niya ang nose niya. He also told them to save their hair and skin flakes so he could use them later to make more people. Over time, many people were born and they lived happily, gathering fruits without needing to work hard. Then one day, when everyone was away, a man and a woman who stayed behind at each other went off together and returned with a child. So the people were afraid, and when Melu came back, he was angry about what they had done. He left them, so nasuko kay si Melu, nihawa siya, bringing a long drought that lasted 2 seasons. So, ang nahitabo kay nagka-drought daw, long drought that lasted 2 seasons, so possibly was sila makaon ani no? And everything died agi sa long drought. And people began leaving the village in pairs, a man and a woman each time. Dayon, kadugayan, Melo never returned to visit humans again. Agi sa kasuko, wala ni bisita si Melo sa iyang humans, sa iyang mga nahimo na humans. There. Yeah. That's it for the short story sa Blaan. Okay, so Bla. A class known as Almoos is composed mostly of middle-aged women who are in close communication with the spirits and who conduct ceremonies to aid in the cure of the sick, to secure good crops, or to thank the higher beings for their help and watchfulness. As you can see in the picture, mga Almoos ni sila, composed mostly of middle-aged women. Dayon sila ang tig-conduct of ceremonies daw to cure the sick and to secure good crops and to thank the higher beings, to thank their God for their help and watchfulness. Next is the Tiruray, or the origin near the upper river, also called the origin near the upper river, also called Tiduray, are a traditional hill people of southwestern Mindanao. So according to the Tiruray, the world was created by the female deity, who is called Minaten, who had a brother named Tulus, also called Meketefu and Swala. The universe, according to the Tiruray, is the abode of various types of itio or people. There are visible ones, the Kilawans or the human beings, and the invisible ones, the Meginaliw or the spirits. So Tulus is the chief of all good spirits who bestow gifts and favors upon human beings. The Belayan has the power to see and communicate with the spirits. If a person falls ill and the spirits need to be supplicated, the Belayan conducts a spiritual tiyawan with them. So rituals are established to have good relation with the spirits during the Tiruray agricultural cycle. 4 times within the year, all household will participate in a community ritual feast called the Kanduli. It is to express thanksgiving, pray for guidance, protection, and other things. Next is the Mansaka, or the people of the clearings. The Mansaka believe that Magbabaya is God and the source of everything on earth. So Mansaka Manaog, or the domestic gods, are represented by wooden statues standing on a parangka. So as you can see in the picture, muna ang Mansaka Manaog. So gina-represent siya by a wooden statue. So manaog have sexes that can be discerned through the sculptures and ornaments on the statues. Offerings are given to the manaog after rice planting, harvest, and before death. So, Piagsawitan is the celebration for thanking and sharing the harvest. The Thanksgiving ritual is offered to Magbabaya and to Taragpo and Layoyo, or the deities of harvest. The head of the family tastes the cooked rice first and lead the prayer to Magbabaya and the deities to drive away hunger and avoid stomach pains. So the host's wife then serves the food to the guests. After the celebration, the guests are given the padara or the food to bring home, or sa atong generation ginatawag siya na sharon. Wow. Padara. Pero sa ila, padara ang tawag nila. Food to bring home. Next, now we will tackle the Moros of the Mindanao. First is the Maranao, or the people of the lake. Maranao is a predominantly Muslim Lanao Province region of the Philippine island of Mindanao. Maranao are known for their metal crafts, architecture, colorful dances, cultural attire, tapestry, distinctive cuisine, and epic literature. This includes the Sarimanok, which is shown in the PPT. This is the Sarimanok, colorful siya, no? Nindot siya. Which represents good fortune and prosperity, and is also an essential trademark of their art forms. And the Darangen, an ancient epic of the Maranao community that was well performed at festivals and occasions for entertainment. Next is the Tausug, the people of the Quran. The Tausug follows standard Islamic beliefs and practices. The Quran is considered by all Muslims as the words of Allah or God. The 5 pillars of Islam are the declaration of belief in the oneness of God and the prophethood of Muhammad, and the 4 obligations of praying, almsgiving, fasting, and pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in a lifetime. So muni ang place, the Masjid Tulay, so diri sila tig, what do you call that? Diri sila tig praying, yeah. So next, Tausug. Indigenous beliefs persist in the Tausug also. Aside from Allah or Tuhan, the Tausug are also concerned with spirits who inhabit nature, especially rocks and trees, and who are believed to be the cause of human suffering. So, ginadtuo sa mga Tausug na ang mga rocks and trees are believed na agi sa human suffering. So, animism po siya, no? Yeah. Among these are the Satan, or the evil spirits, and the Jinn, or the unseen creatures. Folk cures, or the also called mangungubat, may be sought in time of illness. Traditional medical specialists who obtain their powers through dreams or by the instruction of older curers heal mainly by herbal remedies and prayers. Next is the Yakan or the Dayak origin. The Yakan Muslims have a profound respect for Allah or Allahu Ta'ala, viewing him as omnipotent and anthropomorphic with a human-like body, through sexless and possessing infinite senses. They follow the 5 pillars of Islam. This includes the Shahada or the faith, Salat or prayer, Puwase or fasting during Ramadan, Pitla or charity, Zakat or thesis, and Maghaji or pilgrimage to Mecca. So according to the Yakan, the world is divided into Darul Islam, or the abode of Islam, and Darul Harb, or the abode of unbelievers, with jihad seen as a holy war to protect Islam. The concept of magsabil, a personal jihad, involves risking one's life to defend family and property, with the belief that those who kill in this cause will have more servants in heaven. So, kaning si jihad daw kay ga-involve siya risking one's life to defend family property, and according to them na kung kisay mas daghag na patay, kay siya may mas daghan pug servants sa heaven. So, muni ang Yakan warrior. Yeah. Shown in these pictures, this is a Yakan warrior. So, in the Yakan view of the afterlife, souls face judgment on the day of Arat, where good deeds lead to heaven and sins lead to hell or Narka. Even religious leaders are not exempt from punishment if they sin. Heaven consists of 8 levels, with the highest, God's dimension, being reserved for reserved for those who live with unwavering faith and virtuous deeds. The Yakan believe that only through strong belief in Allah, the Messenger, and the Day of Judgment can one achieve a place in heaven, and that one's actions on earth determine their eternal fate. So, yeah. So, folk Islam, a combination of Islamic principles and traditional beliefs, best describes the Yakan belief system. So, kaning mga Yakan, they classify various spirits in heaven and in the natural environment into good angels and bad angels. The bad angels, or called Saitan, were created to occupy hell. There are four known types of Saitan: the Saman Aniya, chief of the Saitan; Maliki Jambaniya, or the abductor of babies born in the month of Sapal, month of misfortune; Ijadjus, cause of temptation; and the Hawiya, caretaker of captured angels brought to hell. Next is the Bajau, or the man of the seas. So the Bajau people are predominantly Sunni Muslims and belong to the Shafi school. In contrast to the more orthodox land-dwelling Bajau, the Bajau Laud, or the sea nomads, traditionally did not worship in mosque. But as this population has increasingly settled in coastal villages, they have assimilated into Islamization in greater numbers. So the Muslim Bajau people follow the Islamic calendar, including Ramadan, and practice Islamic death rites. A small number of Bajau people are Catholic or Protestant. So in Bajau traditional practices, Tuhan, or what they call their God, is believed to be the creator of the earth, heaven, and all things good. So sa ilaha, si Adam and Eve daw are referred to Adam and Hawa, while Satan is known as Iblis. So the Bajau people use shamans, divination, mediums, and amulets and charms to ward off evil spirits and evil humans, treat illness, and practice seances. And yeah, a Bajau shaman, also called Dukon to them, is a traditional spirit leader who serves as a spirit medium, healer, and a ritual leader for the sea-connected Bajau people. So kaning mga Dukon, they perform ceremonies and make offerings to appease the sea god, which is the Ombo de Laot. So si Ombo de Laot, also known as the sea god, is a prominent deity in Bajau mythology. So Ombo de Laot is considered the ruler of the sea, and its creatures, often depicted as a wise and benevolent figure who guides and protects fishermen and sailors. So si Dukon, siya ang perform ceremonies to make offerings and to appease Ombo de Laot, their sea god. And lastly, the Maguindanao, or the people of the flood plains. So the Maguindanao people are Sunni Muslims who believe that the supreme God, Allah, spoke through his prophet Muhammad and taught mankind how to live a righteous life through the Quran and the Hadith. To live a righteous life, you must utter the Shahada, or a statement of faith, pray 5 times a day facing Mecca, fast from sunup to sundown during the month of Ramadan, give alms to the poor, and make a pilgrimage to Mecca if you have the means. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Good morning everyone, my name is Arnold Pudagpin Polinar. This is my report about conclusion. Conclusion: religion is both system of belief and social institution that can unify, divide, and defending on the context. Theological perspective help us understand the religions involving the role today world we are new question about faith and identity continue to emerge. The indigenous religions is mahalagang pamanatili na kultura or tradition ay pamahalaga ng mga katutubong komunidad minigyang diin nila ang malalim na koneksyon sa kalikasan at ang mga ninuno ay spiritual na mundo. Nagtataguyod ng mga pagpahalagang moral at pagkakaisa sa kabilang mga modernong hamon. Ang mga relihiyong ito ay nakatiis sa pamagitan ng mga ritual at tradisyon na pinasa sa mga henerasyon at ang paggalang sa kanilang mga paggalang sa mga kanila ay nakatulong sa protektahan ang mga katutubong pananampalataya at pagkaiba-iba ng kultura at karunungan ng tao. And respect them help protect both indigenous faith, the diversity of human culture and wisdom.